Our ancestral tradition as children of the sun has been passed on through the oral traditions and coded communication of those elders who were able to hold on to the remnants of a very rich and strong cultural identity, even during those turbulent and chaotic times when the ancestral priests and priestesses were forcibly removed and slaughtered and the sacred ancestral temples were destroyed. Page 290, Benu Book 1.
Okay. All right. We're going to do things a little different today. Just a teeny bit different. It happens to be several things at one time. Here we are. Lost in the jungle. I remember some saying, why did Papa take us and carry us deep into the jungle with all these creatures, jaguars and all that stuff? You have to watch the overhang and all these vibrations, vines, and etc. Because snake lives there. Quiet your mind. You're entering the sacred ancestral tropical rainforest jungle sanctuary of the Kwatamani First Genesis tribe, the oldest, longest sustaining, purely plant-consuming family community order known in Western Hemisphere and thereabouts. Look over there. Here we are today. I remember some saying, why did Papa take us and carry us deep into the jungle with all these creatures, jaguars and all that stuff?
Why?
The ones who have grown up are now saying, wow, I'm so glad that Papa took us from all of them places and spaces where we were residing and gave us a chance, a channel for all of us from wherever we came from to come back together into a divine oneness. And we need to hurry to bring a divine and sacred few and a mass so that we can breed, seed, and feed a new generation. That's where we need to be. So today we're giving honor for us taking a stance and moving into a new consciousness. And what I want to do is to share that consciousness, because action speaks louder than words. In divine order, action speaks louder than words. So we're talking divine order. Baseku, you done dressed?
Yeah.
All right, you not go. Taz, you come walk me now. I cool.
With a weird feel, we're ready.
Alright, I feel what I say.
Hey, madase.
Hey, go do it. Make I feel you, man.
Alright, way to go,
Go now.
Yeah.
You know they down?
Yeah, with the dance.
I feel you with the dance, man.
translations of ancestral wisdom that have been handed down from the Aboriginal, indigenous, sun-tanned populations of the planet continue to show the actions of those whose existence is rooted in a deep spiritual relationship with nature within the divine order of earth, wind, rain, and sun. These are the children of the sun who speak the words of the ancient ones and who honor the elders as the true architects of a way of life based on civil order and the applications of higher peace. These are the populations who had no word or concept of war, who had no weapons and no need for blood sacrifices to appease a male war god of vengeance, jealousy, and wrath. These are the populations who emerged from plant-eating ancestral lineages that go millions of years into cycles of time that cannot even be conceived within the pale mental mindset. Page 268, Benu Book 1, High Priest Kwatamani.
A long time ago, there are some folks who came upon us in our glorious, magnificent space and place as sacred ancestral children of the sun within the sacred garden code from which we come.
If we were to take a look at these historical facts as if we were tracking down an invading nature of consciousness, a predator consciousness of conquest, domination, and rule, where populations were enslaved and colonized to fuel the economic wealth base of the warlord and his kind, then maybe we could see which nature of consciousness has infected the planet like a cancer, a virus, a toxic plague upon the soul of humanity.
In 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued a directive to King Alfonso of Portugal to go to the western coast of Africa and to invade, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens, pagans, and other enemies of Christ, to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, and to take away all their possessions and property. That directive was reissued in 1455, 1456, 1481, 1493, 1506, and 1514.
Two different natures of energy, different as can be. Supreme truth or self-deified fallacy. One fuels the soul, the other fuels self-idolatry. The two don't mix, here's the fix. The nature of self divides, take sides, collide to make war as its rule. And self will be the tool of its own self-destruction. Simple deduction, the nature that unifies the soul stays in sync is the spiritual link. My universal order chromatically taught. The fruit of a tree do tell its nature very well. When one looks at the family tree, it's easy to see which fruit poison humanity.
There was a time that they talk about in 1492 when Christopher sailed and sought to destroy the essence of I and you.
In 1492, in what has been called the Age of Discovery, imperialism, the continuation of invasion, conquest, enslavement, and colonization, we're told Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and discovered populations in the New World. Christopher Columbus states in his own words, "So tractable, so peaceable are these people, I swear to your majesties there is not in the world a better nation. They love their neighbors as themselves, and their discourse is ever sweet and gentle and accompanied with a smile." Page 228, Benu Book 1, by High Priest Kwatamani. In his journals, Columbus wrote of the peaceful, generous nature of the Taino people. He noted their language did not have a word for war. He named them Indios and referred to the Taino people as children of God. But he also wrote, "I could conquer the whole of them with 50 men and govern them as I please." Page 229, Benu Book 1.
But then the time was before that with their great emperor Constantine, who decided that he wanted a warlord to assist him in conquering and dominating over, and domination became a key to the whole philosophy of a particular people who are akin to we, children of the sun, who somehow, within a cold and dink and freezing experience that was so unfortunate, lost the holistic living connection to their soul.
The Requerimiento of 1512, or the Requirements, was a declaration of domination, control, and war, read by Spanish military forces as they invaded the lands of the Children of the Sun. Page 235, Benu Book 1 by High Priest Quatamani. The Requerimiento asserted the religious authority of the Roman Catholic Pope over the entire earth and the political authority of Spain over the Americas, except Brazil, from the 1493 papal bull that divided the Western Hemisphere between Spain and Portugal. It demanded that the conquered peoples accept Spanish rule and Christian preaching or risk subjugation, enslavement, and death. If they did not submit, they were told as it was read in Latin, with no interpreters present. Quote, I certify to you that with the help of God we shall powerfully enter into your country and shall make war against you in all ways and manners that we can, and shall subject you to the yoke and obedience of the church and of their highnesses. We shall take you and your wives and your children and shall make slaves of them, and as such shall sell and dispose of them as their highnesses may command. And we shall take away your goods and shall do you all the mischief and damage that we can, as to vassals who do not obey and refuse to receive their Lord and resist and contradict him. And we protest that the deaths and losses which shall accrue from this are your fault. Hatuey, a Taino chief, had escaped in canoes with about 400 men, women, and children to warn the Cubans about what to expect from the Spaniards. He explained the need to join against their common enemy who had inflicted so much suffering on his people. As later recorded by Spanish priest Bartolomé de las Casas, Hatuey showed the Cubans a basket full of gold and jewels. Quote, here is the God the Spaniards worship, he said. For these they fight and kill, for these they persecute us. They tell us, these tyrants, that they adore a God of peace and equality, and yet they usurp our land and make us their slaves. They speak to us of an immortal soul and of their eternal rewards and punishments, and yet they rob our belongings, seduce our women, violate our daughters. The Tainos of Western and Central Cuba could not believe the horrendous message brought by Hatuey, and few joined him. Do Christians go to heaven? Good Christians do. Send me to hell. On February 2nd, 1512, Hatuey was tied to a stake at the Spanish camp, where he was burned alive.
Technical 15, Chanta Bishailini, Abulki Chesta, Agudos Cardagichesta, Technical 15, Chanta Bishailini, Agudos Cardagichesta.
What are they saying? What are they saying? I despise you. I despise your God. I despise your greed. Shut them up. What are they saying, Father? His name. Thanks to you, it will never be forgotten. Estimates of the Taino population of Haiti in 1492 range up to 8 million people. In 1496, according to the results of a Spanish census, the populace had dropped to approximately 3 million. By 1516, only 12,000 remained. In 1542, 200 remained alive. By 1555, nearly all 8 million were gone. Page 232, Benu Book 1. High Priest Quatamani.
Two different natures of energy, different as can be. Supreme truth or self-deified fallacy. One fuels the soul, the other fuels self-idolatry. The two don't mix, here's the fix. The nature of self divides. Take sides, collide to make war as its rule. And self will be the tool of its own self-destruction. Simple deduction, the nature that unifies the soul stays in sync is the spiritual link. Universal order chromatically taught. The fruit of a tree do tell is nature very well. When one looks at the family tree, it's easy to see which fruit poison humanity.
Now we know clearly something was wrong. What was wrong is that there are two different natures of energy. And that one nature of energy diametrically opposed Asar, Aset, and Nebuchadnezzar, and the rest of the royal family of the children of the sun, the sacred garden culture from which we come as green earth solar conscious beings.
We have not forgotten the sacred ones who came before. That is why we're now here to open the divine spirit conscious door. We have not forgotten the sacred ancestral cry. No, we have not forgotten those who refused to submit or die. We have not been broken or ever spoken of defeat, although horsewhipped, hanged, slaughtered, raped, and beat, injected with the confusion of every pale deceit. We are the sacred ones who did retreat, but have returned to complete a sacred ancestral feat. Page 185, Benu Book 1, High Priest Kwatamani.
Our ancestral lineage began long before Grandpa was called 3/5 of a man. Constitution plan ran by those who invaded the land. Defining who was free by slave holding mentality, making it easy to see systematic supremacy oppose our green earth solar reality. Grandma Viola, Cherokee, Grandpa Rankin still thanking he from the essence of my soul. Grandpa was called Seminole as the story was told by those who walked the trail of tears. Let anyone who hears reason with native ancestral vibes from Mother Earth's indigenous tribes. Transatlantic slave trade, middle passage made by great Grandma Nash. Fonte sold for cash, taught her daughter Tree, Grandma S.C. Born in captivity, Madasi and she spoke to me, connecting to her lineage linguistically. Later during my schooling year, Professor Ikatir made I clear. Fonte had traveled all the way here. Fonte Cindy was a Mindy, so many tribal names erased, degraded and debased. Some were chased by the paddy roller. They told her Grandpa Charlie escaped through the mud, crossed the Mississippi after the flood. Yeah, they say Grandpa Charlie was a runaway stud of my own flesh and blood, leaving behind the Mason-Dixie line, chased by a cold, pale state of mind.
Now, they had no true comprehension of soul because they had become disconnected.
Children of the sun, feel what was done by a power conceding nothing but the barrel of a gun. Invaders came speaking with a bark-fit tongue. We came, and peace was the song they sung, bearing gifts of gunpowder and rum. Warnings were sent out by ancestral drum, giving inch to take a mile. Greed and possession is the style of their vicious intent, unable to repent, no care for the water or the air. And they would openly declare all things in love and war to be unquestionably fair. So their God of love will be our worst nightmare. They would conquer the land, enslaving the soul of the indigenous man. He and she who birthed Mother Earth, first family, community tree, the original seed whose wounded heart did bleed.
Soul on ice, as someone would say, is frozen. Yet the meltdown has begun.
Exposing the reality of the ice-cold, deep-freeze mentality.
Infected blankets, contagious disease, smallpox, syphilis, all of these spread with impunity. Biological warfare attacking our immunity, raping women of color with vicious glee, ejaculating depleted masculinity, while strange fruit was hanging from the tree. Chokehold, tight as it could be, still struggling to breathe free. The one-drop rule was a terrifying fact, and miscegenation was a dreaded act. The attack was out of genetic insecurity, recessive traits of so-called purity, so easily overcome by the melanin encodes of the children of the sun. Lineages of mixed and mingled blends, and where it all ends is a gene pool dominated by the one-drop rule. Yeah, the bottom line of this supremacist crime have left mass populations deaf, dumb, and spiritually blind, fully unaware that it's the gathering time.
And obviously we all need to be able to come into a oneness as children of the sun and regain the essence of who we be.
It ain't about the color, complexion of your skin. It's about the state of consciousness you live within.
And to give honor, praise, appreciation to the most supreme, seen and unseen essence of who we be. And give no worship to that self-deified nature of that particular God that was passed on from the time of the invasions of the Hyksos and the other shepherd kings, and all of those names and places and spaces that began to be changed and to be dominated, controlled, and ruled by those children who had come out of the Black Sea Basin meltdown and had intruded and invaded upon our soul. So what happened in that situation is, here we are today. Yes, here we are. Soul survivors of a cold, blood-spilling nature of spiritual war. A spiritual war hell-bent on preventing the rise of green, earth, solar conscious family community order. That's right. Here we are. And we must recognize that the circumstances have paralyzed so many and caused so many to lose all states of mental, physical, and spiritual consciousness with the soulful essence of who we be as children of the sun, divine children of the sun, emerging out of the sacred garden culture from which we come. And within that, the circumstances have actually not only paralyzed the movement, but has actually demoralized, dehumanized, and has caused individuals to become desensitized to their own circumstances. And from this ash and rubble and decay, we have been given the challenge of resurrecting a divine and sacred few of the few of the few. You see, we must do, as we said from the onset of this presentation, we must provide an avenue, a channel. We must provide an environment to produce a different kind of circumstances. We must comprehend that an individual is the product of his and or her environment. And therefore, unless we can amass an environmental circumstances where holistic living change is a daily reality, then we're wasting our time. It will continue to be a vicious circle over and over and over again. Each group, each offspring, each individual, each self, master programmed to think that they are different, that it will not happen to them, and that they're going to be the change over and over and over again while expecting different results. Yet each and every time the circumstances get worse and worse and worse until mass implosion. And this is what we're facing in these days and times. In these last days and times of this movement into green earth solar conscious resurrection, into a new Benu. This I put to each and every one of you. Take the challenge. Make the challenge be your prime focal point. Realize that your body temple is where your soul resides. And realize as a soul to soul energized being, You have a divine, natural, and innate duty, obligation, and responsibility to go beyond the superficial and surface statements, ideologies, programs of what I want, or seeking and searching to gain materialism for your fortune and fame. You must begin to comprehend. You, the sacred few of the few of the few. For the rest of you, it is absolutely unquestionable that you will continue to do what you want to do, how you want to do it, regardless of what anybody say, because you want to satisfy yourself. Now, for we, that I'm talking about, we have a divine, natural, and innate duty, obligation, and responsibility to the soulful essence of our ancestors, and those ancestors who have suffered so many grueling misery, aches, and pains, refusing to submit, refusing even in the face of death, so that we can get a greater presence of divine spirit conscious reasoning. And these ancestors have done all of this for this day and these days after this day, because life is for the living in divine order. Be clear that our humanitarian existence is mental, physical, and soul spirituality. And so it's resurrection time. It's time for the divine gathering of a sacred few of the few of the few. The more the master program has master programmed your mind, the more you're going to continue that same master program vibration over and over and over again, time after time. And you will become a tool of your own mass destruction, implosion. And that implosion will affect each and every being in and around you. Unless a miraculous occurrence happens. And that miraculous occurrence must be massive, focused, supervised, guided, protected, nurtured, detoxing, and purging to heal. Yes, here we are. Here we are today. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this little brief presentation on mic. I'm going to turn it off, and we're going to see how we can get some of that magnificent, raw, and living kick, K-A-K-E, and see how we can enjoy it, because life is for the living in divine order.